Welcome back, comic book collectors and enthusiasts. My name is Brandon, and you are watching M.O.N.Comics Big 5 Live, a monthly show where I scour the long boxes of YouTube and collect up some awesome content creators and bring them on here to show 5 books, whether it's their most recent pickups, the favorites in their collection, or a combo of both, all in the name of stoking that comic conversation. And I've got a great lineup tonight, so hide your kids, hide your wives. I've got some really cool guys that I've met throughout the community that agreed to come on tonight, and I'm very grateful for it. So I'm going to bring them out one by one. First guest tonight I'm bringing is Josh from Josh's Comics. Josh, I found very early on when I came into YouTube and was watching comic content. He has a great collection of Batman's Rogues galleries, but he also does the Marvel too. He likes to go and dabble in both, which I appreciate. So Josh, thank you for coming on the show tonight. You doing all right?
Yeah, man, I'm doing well, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course, the first of many appearances, I'm sure, dude. You'll be a reoccurring character. It'll be great. Next up, someone's known to pal around with Josh, or Josh pals around with him, whatever you want to. I always get jealous. Joe from 360Comics, he is the Renaissance man. He has his own YouTube channel where I started watching him for some great pickup videos and frothing at the mouth because I can't find that stuff near me. He also sells comics. He's a co-host of Comic Book Canon and formerly the ambassador to Madagascar from the U.S. as we were chatting backstage. But I always get jealous because Josh is always like in Joe's videos or Joe's and Josh's videos. They get to shop and hunt together because they're close. So I'm like, man, this is just middle of nowhere. That's what I get. But Joe, how you doing tonight?
Good. Yeah. I mean, I'm from the Philadelphia area, right kind of smack dab in the center of the East Coast comic hub. And fortunately for me, there's a lot of collections out there. There's shows almost every weekend within about an hour drive and tons of members of the community. And it just makes it so fun.
That's awesome, man. I really enjoy your stuff. And I can't wait to meet you guys at Terrificon in August. And we'll talk more about that later. The next up, I've always said that I have an affinity to Aussies. I worked in Alaska, and by some chance, there was 2 Australian guys there who became very good friends. They taught me everything about being nautical, and they're just wonderful humans. And then I met Martin, the Aussie comic book collector on YouTube. He's come on the show. Tonight I have David, who I found by way of Ricky from All Sorts of Words, and he's just a wonderful, wonderful, kind gentleman. About a month ago, I was doing a live stream, and I forgot that I was like monetized in the lower tier, and this guy was kind enough to send me a super chat and said, go buy a fun book. David, I've got that fun book here tonight to show off. And I'm also going to announce a giveaway because if people are going to be kind to me, you got to pay it forward. And so not only did I pick up this book thanks to you, but a book to be given away that I'll announce next week. So David, how you doing? He is usually from Australia, but you are in Washington tonight at M.O.N.Con, right?
That's right. So I'm staying at the W, and they've very kindly given me access. They've got a recording studio, so they've basically given me that for the hour. So I'm like overwhelmed by that. But yeah, I was hanging out at the Comic-Con for the last 2 days. It's pretty crazy, but it's been fun. So
and why else are you in the States? Tell everyone else why you're in the States.
So it's actually I'm returning back from a work trip. So it's actually it's literally transiting, and I've just taken the opportunity to just come over.
Okay, let me rephrase that. What's happening in April in the States?
Oh, I'm getting married.
Yeah, congratulations, man.
Yeah.
You're still 100 yards from single. Get out while you can. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. My wife's in the other room. She's probably divorcing me right now.
Well, the good news is she likes the hobby, so at least that's one thing.
That's great. My wife likes the hobbies as far as the movies, but when I start going deep dive on stuff, she's like, I'm going to stop you right there. And I'm like, okay. Last but certainly not least, tonight, coming to the stage, founder of the CBCA Comic Book Community Awards, the Godfather, one of the nicest guys that I met when I got onto YouTube, Brian LCS. Brian, how the hell are you tonight?
I'm doing well. It's been a busy couple days. I live streamed last night, live streamed this morning, and live stream again tonight with you. So it's
bless your heart. I just like a couple weeks ago had my first couple live streams in a week, and I realized how hard that is. But on top of doing that, you are, I watched last year as a newbie to the YouTube community, watched you organize and put on and do a tremendous job at the Comic Book Community Awards. It is, I can't imagine the work that goes on behind the scenes. So, you know, just kudos to you, man. It's a passion, I'm sure. And I'm grateful that you do it for us, because it's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was really when I got into when I started my own channel on YouTube, I was a little surprised that nobody had thought of doing an award show, and so I think there was something years ago maybe that somebody had put together, but it didn't last. So it was just thought I would jump in and try to do something to give back to the community, because I really when I first got on, just the amount of you see people do some crazy editing, some just the giveaways and AOKs, and just the sense of community within the community. So I wanted to kind of do something to be able to give back, and something fun, right? Something I think that to help celebrate the community, not only from a comic book perspective, but what everybody's doing on within YouTube. So
I think that's wonderful. How many years has it been going on now? Well, this will be the 4th year.
This will be the 4th year. Yeah. So we're and every year I say we're not adding anything, we're not changing anything, and every year I make it a little bit bigger. So
yeah,
we started with 11 awards year 1. We went to 22 year 2, 26 year 3, and now we're at 30 for this year. So I keep telling myself I'm not going to do it, but I break the rule every year.
A glutton for punishment. And DJ Links had some fantastic editing that he did when you guys announced the finalists and the winners. He really put a lot of work into it too. That guy's a mastermind.
Yeah, that was a big help, because I'm running around trying to do all of that stuff myself, and DJ said, "Hey, can I help out?" And I suggested, "Hey, could you do this?" And he was like, "Sure." And so that really took a lot of work off my plate. I could focus on some of the other videos that were created for the live show and things like that. So yeah, big shout out to DJ. So that was a big help, and it really helped make the awards look even that much better, a little bit more professional. So it was a big help.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I'm looking forward to this year. Go check out Brian's live stream from last night if you want any more details on that. Nomination period opens up June 15th. Where you can nominate your favorite YouTube channel in a number of 30 categories. And it's just a really fun thing to follow throughout the year. And it's there's no lack of kindness in this community. I've been part of the vintage toy community. I've been part of the Magic the Gathering community. Is there toxicness and stuff that's not great in this one? Sure. But by far and away, communities I've been a part of, the kindness really is outshines the worst things that you can have in this community. So guys, thanks everyone for coming on. You're all lovely humans. I'm just going to say what's up to the chat quick and see who's Mr. Akins from What's on the Comic Rack, who was actually nominated for Best Unknown Channel last year. Mon is a dunce. Yes, I didn't know Joe wasn't here. We got an Aussie in here, Alan Carr. Good day to everybody in the waiting room. Alan, how are you? What time is it in Australia right now, David?
It would be probably about midday, I think.
Yeah, the future.
Tomorrow.
All right, we got Next Gen Collector. What's going on, buddy? I loved your most recent upload. Keep the good work. Richard Westfall. This guy, man, he's trying to compete with La Crucis of being in everyone's chat all the time. Thanks for the support, man. You're a gem. Going international with Jussi from Finland. What is up? He just started his own channel, Thing Comics. He was branching off another kind of conglomerated channel, but a very nice guy. Doug Bakken. Doug, it's funny you came. I'm going to show some of the books you sent tonight. Doug's a dad from Texas. He recently sent me an AOK. He's a fan of my channel, and it was hilarious because it came, all he could fit it in was a Pampers box. And it was on my porch when I came home. Me and my family were pulling in, and my wife's like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, one of my viewer friends wanted to send me something." And she goes, "Oh my God, this is great. Diapers is the best thing someone could send because we have an 18-month-old. And immediately I'm like, oh, I got to tell her. I'm like, Hannah, there's comics in there. And she's like, son of a bitch, of course there is. So it was hilarious, Doug. Well done. Collecto6, Steven, vote Warmonger on Ricky's channel for sure. Ricky from All Sorts of Words is doing a fun C4 wrestling show with members of the comic community. So anyone who wants to get on that, reach out to Ricky. It's a fun time. David's participated, as have I. TJ, what is going on? Hope you're having a great weekend too. We've got Eric from SideQuest Comics. Happy Saturday night. Happy Saturday night to you, my friend. DJ Links. There he is. DJ Links, we were just singing your praises about your master editing skills. And also, he has one of probably the best collection/video setups on all of YouTube. I just can't stop staring at it. But super nice guy and the Link Squad. Who else we got in here? I think that's it for everyone right now. So just wanted to catch up and say thanks to everyone for stopping by and hanging out. Every channel always appreciates it. So let's get into the point of the show, is to show some books and talk about comics. You're welcome, DJ Links. You're a gem. Let's see here. Josh, we're going to start with you, buddy. I'm going to make you big.
So I love DC. You're going to see quite a bit of DC and a little bit of Marvel, but I love the ladies of DC. And right here we have Catwoman issue number 72.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Adam Hughes cover. I love anytime I can pick up Adam Hughes, whether it's expensive or not. Well, if it's expensive, it depends on how much, but like I'm always picking it up. Perfect cover with Zatanna on there.
Zatanna's been doing her leg. She didn't miss leg day at the gym. Jeez.
It's amazing. And I love it because, like, even if she has her own run and everything, she still gets love and Catwoman. And, you know, like I said, Adam Hughes is amazing. So that's my first book. Am I going to show all 5?
Yeah, man.
Okay. So these next few books, actually, I picked up from a good friend here, Joe, Threesixtycomics. And Brandon, you know this book because me and you talked about it. Daredevil, issue number 131. First appearance of Bullseye. High grade 2. And I can't wait to send this in and get it graded. But Daredevil, it's a tie. Batman and Daredevil are my 2 favorite characters. I love street level guys, you know, more than actual superpowers. But
amen.
I mean, man.
You know, that's a great Rich Buckler cover. I don't know how he gave that one such an awesome one, but my boy Man-Thing's first appearance, he just looks like a chunky boy. So I'm glad he did Daredevil right on that cover, and Bullseye. It's great composition.
But I mean, it's a great cover too, man. And it's actually, I know my light's not doing it justice, but it's one of the better. I mean, it's not all the way yellow, but Daredevil has some great yellow covers that you're gonna actually see in a minute or two here. I'm gonna show you, but
amen. Great choice, Josh.
The next book is a book. I'm a huge Batman fan. I love collecting Rogue first appearances if I can afford them, and I kind of consider this almost like the Silver Age first Joker in a way. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. So this is issue number 251. Iconic Neil Adams cover. So this is actually, up until this point, Joker was just like pretty much just a clown. Like, he wasn't serious. He wasn't the menace that we would come to know him as today. Like, from killing Jason Todd to shooting Barbara Gordon. Like, so Neil Adams and the team re-envisioned his character. And in a way, I kind of consider this almost like the first Silver Age Joker in a way.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, yeah.
So, and I mean, this is just like Joker covers. I would love to collect this one day. I have a poster of it. I'd love to get my hands on it, but that's a huge issue. But
yeah,
this, I mean, I don't know, man. So shout out to Joe, because like he helped me get this, and this is
Joe's just your plug. He's just your pusher, man, dude.
he's just like, whenever he gets collections and like he's picking up. He's always finding great stuff I want. So
amen.
I'm always going for it. So we just talked about the Frank Miller cover. I got issue number 181 here. And the interesting story about this is it's not as high as a grade as some may want, but I picked this at my first ever Comic-Con that I went to, and I sent this in by myself, and I love it. It's always going to stay in the PC. One of the best Frank Miller covers I think we've ever gotten. One of the best yellow backgrounds, and like, I don't know, man. I think it's an underrated key in a way. I think a lot of people sleep on this book.
Yeah, man, it looks beautiful.
To me, it's amazing. So I will probably maybe looking to maybe getting a higher grade one day, but this one will always stay. It's always got a special place at home with me.
I feel you, man.
The last book I got here, another book from Joe, and a book I couldn't believe I got it for the price I did. But this is Gotham City Sirens #1 in a 9/8, and like that cover.
Who's the cover artist on that, Josh?
And like, this thing's amazing.
Who did the cover on that?
I believe it was. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce his name right. Goldman March. Did I say that right?
You got me on that one. I'll take your word for it. It is a gorgeous cover.
And it's a Paul Dini story as well. And Paul Dini,
nice.
One of my favorite writers, Batman the Animated Series. So, yeah, man.
Those are awesome books, dude. Daredevil, a big fan of Daredevil as a street level hero too. I have a good amount of his books, and one of those characters that's history of changing costumes, like very early in his, you don't get that too often where it's completely reimagined, and it was pretty sweet. So those were awesome, Josh. Those were good picks. Batman 251 too. Yeah, it is a special place in my heart.
Yeah, Neil Adams.
Yeah, Neil Adams, man. Just anything he touched, whether it was horror comics or Batman, he was amazing. Joe from 360 Comics, what did you bring, man?
So if you're anything like me, you overthink everything.
Yep.
So I was trying to think what I'm going to bring. I decided to go one book from each era of comics. So I have Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, Copper Age, and Modern Age. What do you think, Brandon? Should I start with the modern and go back, or should I start with the gold and go forward?
Oh, damn! Make me choose.
Let's choose.
Let's like go through history. So let's start with golden, and let's see the history progression of comics.
All right, let's see the history progression. Now, this is not only is this a Golden Age comic, this is the oldest comic in my personal collection, and one that I can't imagine myself ever getting rid of. This is Detective Comics 22. As we know, Detective Comics 27, that's the big one, Batman. So this is 5 issues before Batman debuted. Cool thing about this book, it is not only the second appearance and first cover appearance of Crimson Avenger, it's also the second superhero comic book cover ever. Action Comics 1 came out a few months earlier, but Superman was not on the cover of Action 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So this came out between Action Comics 1 and 7, and takes the crown as the second superhero on a cover. And I actually got this, of all places, from my LCS. They got a crazy Golden Age collection in, and I was like a little tight on cash at the time, but I was like, I'm going to buy one big book. They sent me the list. I went through, I picked out this one as being kind of the best value and the coolest book. And I bought it, and they told me within a week, because they sent the list to a bunch of people, they got like 500 sellers about buying this book that had already sold to me. So I'm very glad I pulled the trigger when I did.
What year is that one?
That's December of 1938.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
the fact that book's intact is a miracle.
Yeah. Well, the back cover is detached and retaped on, but that's fine. I'm okay with tape.
You start learning about how it's okay to let go of those things. It's a book, right? Oh boy, I love this
out of the
cover.
bag. We're going with a graded comic next. Silver Age, on to the era of Marvel Comics. This is Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, number 30, 1964. 65. First appearance of the cat burglar. that character didn't really catch on. What makes this comic really special to me is, I don't know if you can see it up here on the label, but right under the name and date, it says from the personal collection of Steve Ditko. This was his file. He had a file copy of every ASM book and Amazing Fantasy 15 that he worked on, which is 1 through 38 and AF 15. And there was 1 to 3 copies of each book, and they were auctioned off over the last couple years through his estate. And I was able to get one, and I'm just so, like, it's like an honor to have such a piece of history. Co-creator of Spider-Man, Steve Ditko, just like, what? He had this book in his apartment in New York City for decades. And, you know, they didn't press and clean any of these books because they said they want it exactly intact as Steve Ditko left it. So it's probably got some Steve Ditko fingerprints, maybe some DNA on it. Maybe we'll do a little bit of cloning in a couple years.
That just rocked my socks. I just, my mind's blown. Yeah, go ahead. I don't know what to say.
It's a cool one. All right, so we're moving to the Bronze Age. This is a really early Bronze Age book. I'm big on collecting errors. I love double covers, printing errors, things like that. And this one, actually, this is one of my favorite ones. This is probably my favorite one, mainly because I didn't have to like search this out. I found this in the wild, in a collection, actually in a trunk in an attic. This is Fantastic Four 110. And this is the first cover appearance of Agatha Harkness.
Wow. The green cover variant. Yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm getting nervous. This is crazy.
Right. All the colors are messed up because they switched the magenta and the blue pressing plates. So, you know, with printing, there's black, there's magenta, blue, I think it's cyan specifically, and yellow. And they switched the magenta and the cyan. So instead of blue costumes, they're wearing pink costumes. The thing is green. You know, there's a bunch of green in the background where it was supposed to be more of a blue or a dark blue color. Really cool. Found this in the wild, and I had never heard of this error before. And I was like, this doesn't look right. Like, I don't think this is what this cover looks like. And I looked it up, and sure enough, there was a listed error online. And that was 3 or 4 years ago at this point, and still sitting in the collection now.
Remember the drug commercial from the 80s? It was like, I learned it from watching you, Dad.
I wasn't alive in the 80s. So.
You're a youngin'. It was like, I learned it from watching you, Dad. Well, I learned that fact from watching your channel because I watched you show that. And I was like, oh, cool. What the crap? How many exist like that, do you think?
I don't know. It's not like a super rare one. You know, I see them pop up. I would assume it's probably less than 10% of the print run, but it's also probably not like 2 or 3%. It's probably between like 5 and 10%. Like there's thousands out there for sure. It's not a super scarce one.
That is incredible, dude. Okay, continue. Sorry. I'm just
all good. Moving into the Copper Age of comics. I think you're gonna like this one, Brandon.
I know it's coming. I'm getting
this. It's not what you think it is, but it's related to what you think it is. I think this book is massively underrated.
Oh yeah.
You know what it is. Caliber presents #1. This is the first appearance of the Crow, and everyone thinks the Crow. They think Crow 1. This came out in January. Crow 1 didn't come out until November. This had the first Crow story in it and an ad for it on the back. So this predates Crow #1 by months, and is the true first appearance of the Crow. In fact, it actually says first appearance of the Crow on the CGC label.
Wasn't there a preview for him also on the back cover of I forgot what comic it was?
Dead World issue 10.
Yes.
That is a preview, at least as far as I understand.
They consider it a preview.
It's a preview, but it's a preview of Crow 1. It's not a preview of this. So that came out in between the two.
Okay, got you. But yeah, that's the that is the key to own when it comes to the Crow. Everyone wants the cover of one, but
yeah. And I have a couple Crow ones, but this one, it was important to get this one for me too.
For sure.
I sent in a couple copies. and got 9.6s. And finally, I pulled the trigger and just bought a 9.8 because I really wanted one.
That's amazing.
All right, moving on to the modern age. This, despite being a modern book, this is one of the more expensive ones, one of the scarcer ones as well. I'm a huge horror fan. If you couldn't tell by watching my channel, I don't know what you're watching then, but huge fan of horror. 30 Days of Night. This is one of the best modern horror comics. And you'll notice that this is not a regular comic. It is spiral bound on the side. This was actually a retailer preview that they sent out prior to the comic coming out. IDW had mostly done other IPs. 30 Days of Night was their first original comic book that they came out with. So what they did, they wanted to hype it up. They sent out a bunch of these retailer previews to the major stores, probably like Midtown size stores in the United States. They sent out less than 100 of them. Who knows how many of these are left? I know there's like a count online, and someone, like, the current count is there's 11. I'm sure there's more than that, but there's 11 kind of known to exist, this being one of them. Very cool piece of comic history, and again, something that is absolutely just staying with me. You know, that's not something I really ever want to sell.
I love that. I saw that again. I think it was your channel that showed me that, because I'm a horror fan too. The 30 Days of Night movie. When I first saw that, I was like, these are definitely the least vampires that I ever want to have to deal with. You know, they were just brutal. And that is just a piece of, I mean, every book you showed had some kind of beautiful piece of history. And I don't know about you guys, but that's kind of what draws. If you're, you know, a comic fan, I think you have to be a little bit of a history fan.
Absolutely.
Because they transcend all these decades and speak to cultural and historical moments and pieces of our history that are captured in these books, you know. Just what's tied to the Ditko book you showed, what's tied to the Crow book and James O'Barr and his, you know, this is a guy we learn about his random life through this book, you know, of tragedy itself. And that just did it for me. Wow. Smoke if you got him. 5-minute break. That was great.
Thanks everybody for coming. Good night.
Yeah, I know. Fun fact: when I was asked to go on Only Slabs, Rob asked me in like November to come on in like January or something, and I watched it, and it was Things and Things, and this guy's showing like Superman 1 and stuff. I'm like, I'm glad I'm not going next week. Oh my god. Yeah. But the next guest we're going to have is David, who I said is kind of, you know, he's got the handicap tonight. He's not playing from home, but I appreciate you coming on anyways, man.
Thank you. And look, I did my best considering I am traveling. But I did, that Detective Comics is quite timely because it actually, my first book today is an amazing fantasy, funnily enough. But not the one you're expecting. It's Amazing Fantasy 14.
Yes.
I love the cover.
Now, I love this book, and I was very fortunate to get a copy recently. What's interesting when I read this, I didn't realize it appears that this is like the pseudo first appearance of Professor Xavier in here. The story about a mutant, and it's the first mention of, or as I understand it, the first mentioning of mutants in Marvel. And it's a story about a mutant, and then lo and behold, this voice in his head tells him that he's a special person. So yeah, just missed it, absolutely. But yeah, this is my first one. Still haven't got an AF-15, but I thought this was an interesting pickup at the very least.
I always love that cover too.
Yeah, it's so fast. In fact, all of the Amazing Fantasy covers, I've got a few of them now. I find I'm really digging into the pre-hero Marvels, Silver Age at the moment, because I just think they're so good.
That's fantastic.
Sticking on the almost vein, I have a Star Wars #1, but not what you'd expect. This is the UK Star Wars #1, which is the reprint of Star Wars #1. But what we got in my original homeland is a free X-Wing fighter inside, which I can actually show you.
No way.
Let me just see if it's in here still.
You collect a lot of UK books yourself, right, David? Like in and of your collection, you have a lot of Pence variants.
I have been going back and trying to collect as much of the UK stuff as possible. This is what you'd get, and it's not even punched out. So this is as it came.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it doesn't look like an X-Wing fighter, but that's the thing that I love about the UK book. So they did these extra little freebies that you'd get inside, and this is a pretty good looking quality copy. So I'll probably end up getting this one graded, and it will get blue because it's got the free gift. So
that's amazing.
These are, you'd get backup strips like Warlock in these. So this is how I was introduced to some of the stories from Marvel, even without picking up the usual regular US copies. So
that's fantastic. Yeah, I'm a huge Star Wars. I got to send you. I have a video of my whole lower right leg is all the OG bounty hunters are tattooed on it. I'm just there was the first Jedi was the first movie I saw in a theater, so it definitely like left that impression.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's just lovely having these sort of books. And again, I'm probably now. This is another one that was. It's an almost copy, so it's not a giant size X-Men #1, but it is a Foom 10.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good one to have too. You're gonna have one of them.
So let's take the almost first appearance of the new X-Men. Depends on your point of view, but I've got a giant size, so this was required to complete the collection. So that'll be going in for grading as well.
It looks nice. Bravo on that. A
Yeah,
lot of debate lately talking about getting Foom 10. Is that the real first appearance and this and that?
Yeah, I've got a number of them. There's the Captain Britain. His first appearance is in, I think, 15 as well. So I'll pick that one up. So that'll be going in. But yeah, I love the Foom books because I missed it when I was a kid. So going back and looking at it, and it's almost like, what is it? Early Bronze Age, Marvel Age books. So yeah,
that's a great one.
So Brandon, you would have known about my Hulk #1,
right?
So I'm still chasing the first 6, but I have managed to secure a #2, 4, 5 Pence variant. So I'm complete. I'm trying to go for 1 to 6 in Pence variants.
Nice.
So
impressive.
Right to the. I'll probably resubmit it. It's got a big crease here, which you can't really see. So I think this was submitted but not pressed. So I'll probably resubmit and see what grade see if I can actually improve it. It presents really well, as you can see. So let's see how that one goes. But yeah, again, now I'm only 4 more to go on the Hulk run.
Yeah, it looks better than my Hulk too, for sure. Because I don't have one. That's beautiful, man.
I'm happy with that. And then my last one, which I wasn't expecting to get, and this is probably going to go back into CGC for regrading. I'm trying to collect all of the Avengers first, the event movie MCU Avengers first appearances. So I can tick another one off the list. Black Widow.
Nice.
It is a Pence variant as well. So again, I'm keeping that theme going. 6.5s, very happy with that grade. But let's see if we can sort of. It has a little bit of issues on the back, and it's got some creasing. So again, it's probably a candidate for going back in. But very happy to have that really early Iron Man first appearance of Black Widow.
What issue is that again?
That's 52.
52. Yep. Okay. And yeah, that's just a brilliant book. You did pretty well for not being in your home turf, man.
No,
I guess if you're going to participate in a show like this, if you're at a con, that's probably second best place because there's, if you've got the resources to go find the books,
Well, I think the key for me was because I was traveling, I was taking books that I knew I was going to get resubmitted. And so
smart.
that helped. So at least that's something. But yeah,
Very
thanks for
smart.
being a bit patient with me.
Oh no, dude, it's fine. They were awesome. Love everyone you chose. Brian, what do you got, Brian?
How did I lose the draw to go last?
I'm going last. I'm going after you, so you
Oh,
can
okay.
just
All right,
yeah.
good.
You,
Good,
I
good.
always go last so that no one feels that pressure.
So I'm a big Spider-Man guy, Spider-Man fan. I collect a lot of Spider-Man books. So we're going to show some Spider-Man books tonight. I'm going to mix in one other book, but this first book is my lowest number of in the ASM run, and this was actually a book that I got via a trade with Trev, the shipping guru. So this is ASM 37. First appearance of Norman Osborn. So, this is just to have this being the lowest ASM book, and the fact that it came via, another community member. And actually, Trev, the shipping guru, got this from, I forget where he got it from, somebody else within the community. So, just kind of a special book because, like I said, ASM, and the fact that it came from the community. So,
Yeah, I gotta say, Richard Westfall just said it too. That looks better than a 1.0, man. That looks really good.
yeah, it says, so this is a CBCS. It says piece missing from third page does not affect story. So I'm assuming that's why it got only a 1.0. Yeah, because I mean the cover presents really well. I mean even the back cover doesn't look like anything's detached or anything like that. So
yeah, if I had to guess, like looking at that like that 2.0, 2.5 range, maybe a little better. I don't know. But yeah, it automatically drop it down. But I've always loved that cover.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and like I said, and the fact that it's a community book.
Special.
Now, this is probably my favorite ASM cover. And this was a book I picked up last year, ASM 39.
Yes.
So, this is John Romita, his first cover. And so just just an iconic, cover. Obviously, been homaged, a number of times, but to have the original and a good grade. That the like I said, the cover really presents really well. So, just just happy to have this because of the iconic cover.
That's my Goblin. That's like the one of the most iconic, I think, covers for. I just love that cover with him.
Yeah, it's funny too. I recently rewatched Spider-Man: No Way Home, and William Dafoe is like a crazy man. He was, as the Goblin, he really nailed that.
He was fantastic. So, he is. Yeah, I couldn't agree more on that sentiment.
Yeah, I mean, he made that.
I don't think anybody could play a better Goblin than he could.
I don't think so either.
So now, this next book is kind of it's kind of my Toy Story moment. Meaning, as a kid, I was a big. I grew up watching reruns of Adam West Batman. I had a bunch of Mego action figures as a kid. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and superheroes was everything that I was into. Yeah, but when this movie came out in the late 70s, it was, I went from superheroes to, spacemen. So it was kind of my Toy Story.
Nice.
So this is a book that I recently picked up as well. And I'm working on this entire run, just because it was one of my favorite movies. Saw the original Star Wars in the theater. I remember my dad taking me to Empire Strikes Back. And just a lot of nostalgia and memories tied to Star Wars as a kid. And then I have 3 children. They have grown up to become huge Star Wars fans. So it's something that we share together. So this is another one of those special books in the PC. And now this next book is a book that I actually picked up off the newsstand at a local 7-Eleven. I had a 7-Eleven that was not that far from the house. I could ride my bike to it as a kid. or if my dad was taking me, or a friend's dad or whatever, I'd always go and look through the comic rack. So this book came out when I was 15 years old, so probably rode my bike to pick it up. And this was a book that
Holy
I've
crap.
had, off the newsstand. I never had it cleaned and pressed or anything. I had submitted when I got back into collecting in 2021, and I submitted it, and it's been sitting in my collection since 1985, and got a 9.4 on it. So pretty, this is just one of those books that I've been carrying around from house to house, and I actually sold my collection to a college friend, for a little while. He never did anything with it. I bought it back from him, and so this
Nice.
book, sat at his house for a couple of years. So
Man,
it's kind of
it's been for a long, having it that long, that's impressive. A 9.4.
yeah. And like I said, when I got back in, I was, when I first collected in the 80s, it was before grading. And so when I got back in, I was learning about grading and CGC and the different companies. But I should have had it, pressed before I submitted it, but I didn't really understand about cleaning and pressing at that time. So
Right.
I haven't really looked at it, but I'm just happy to have that
Right.
in the PC. But now this next book is another community book. I traded with Uncanny D-Man. We had a trade. He was looking for some books. I was looking for some books. We did the trade. And this book originally came back. He sent it to me in the poly bag. And then another community member, 22 Comics, reached out to me and said, "Do you know that those polybag books, there were a number of them that were signed by Stan Lee. You potentially could have a Stan Lee signed book." And I said, "All right." So we did a live stream, and we opened up the book, but unfortunately, I didn't have the Stan Lee signed book. But so I recently
Nice.
submitted this book and got it
Yeah.
graded. I was
Nice.
down in MegaCon for a day and submitted it in early February and got it back in like 3 weeks. So this was in the poly bag, broke it out, got it. CGC did the pressing, and came back a 9.8. So, but again,
That is
just to have this again via another community member was again special, and the fact that it came back at such a in such a high grade was I really need to send Uncanny D-Man something else. I don't now having this in a 9.8. I don't feel like I sent him enough books when we made the trade.
That's a great story. I can imagine that book can be hard to get a 9.8 on with those black edges like that. Like anything touches it, and
and it was in a poly bag.
it was in a
Right.
poly bag on top of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was what 2000. So 2011. So I got it last year. So 2023. So it sat in a poly bag for 12 years. So
you spun the wheel and you won, my friend. So
yes.
those were awesome books, Brian. You chose some great ones. I love the community focused books because some of my books I chose tonight are community based. I don't know how I'm going to follow all you guys, but I'll give it my damnedest. So Doug Botkins, who's in the chat, like I said, he's a dad. We've been talking back and forth, and he wanted to send me some stuff. So he actually sent me now the only Golden Age books in my collection, and are becoming big right now because CGC just started grading them. But he sent me this first pulp, Weird Tales. This is from July of '46 with a cover of Matt Fox, who is known for like these very Victorian wood carving art like pictures. And he later went on to work on Journey into Mystery as well as Tales of Suspense too. But Doug blew my mind with this one. I'm a horror guy too, Joe, and my Halloween show is like my favorite thing. I only did one, but I'm looking forward to this year again. So that was the first one he sent me, and this just creeps me out. So Doug, thank you if you're in the chat for that one. The next book he sent me was also a pulp. Famous Fantastic Mysteries. That's a great, just spooky ass cover right there too. This is from June of '46 with a cover by an artist just by the name of Lawrence, because his full name was Lawrence Stevens, but so was his father, and they were in the same business, so they just called him Lawrence. So when you look up like who did this cover, it just says Lawrence. But yeah, now I have a couple Golden Age pulps, which I'm very grateful for, and I got to read these because I'm sure they're fantastic. But yeah, Doug sent me the 2 pulps. The community, like Brian was saying, the kindness within the community is just, it's astounding. Even if it has to come in a Pampers box, that works for me. Another thing you sent me, I already have an issue of, but I didn't have this kind of issue of it. It's the Man-Thing issue number 5, Night of the Laughing Dead, but it's the book and record.
Yes.
So it does have the record inside. I'm going to order like a cheap or find a cheap record player so I can listen to it. They have it on YouTube, but it's just not the same. And Mike Plug did the cover for this one, who I think always did fantastic on Man-Thing. This is a great story. I don't know if anyone's ever read any of the volume 1 for Man-Thing, but this clown is like in love with this girl in the circus he's with, and the circus leader and the strong man are a-holes, and they basically drive him to go into the swamp and kill himself, and the Man-Thing finds him and buries him. And then the next issue, he actually, his ghost, his spirit comes back to be judged by members of the like heaven, hell, and then like the intermediate realm for his life, and Man-Thing whoops the crap out of them. So this was really cool. I've always wanted like a book and record set. I remember listening to like He-Man as a kid on book and record and following along, and Sectors, like any of the toy-based ones I had. So Doug, thanks so much, man. This is really cool that I have that now. The next book Joe was talking about too. Didn't know if I'd ever own this book, but then I think as a collector, you start like after you accumulate a bunch, you're like, okay, what do I really not have a connection to that I can use to hopefully fund something that I do? So my buddy JP from the Absolute Game of Nerds, this is another community book. He got this on January 1st of this year. And I was like, oh man, that's great. And then he ended up getting a better copy, and he offered to sell me this one and took care of me on it. But it's the Crow issue 1. That's the first in the series, at a 6.5, because, you know, this book, there's only a little over 1,000 on the census, you know? So you kind of gotta, if you want to own it, take it the grade you can afford. And I'm buying the book. I'm not buying the grade anyways. I mean, it's just a wonderful cover. Big fan of the movie as a kid, because I was a angsty teenager in the 90s. And the mythos behind it with Brandon Lee. And then I bought the graphic novel, which has the first 4 issues in it. The full 4, right, Joe? It was just a 4 issue at that point.
Yeah.
And but it tells James O'Barr's story of how he came up with the Crow. And not only is this movie based in tragedy and the tragedy surrounding Brandon Lee, on top of that, you add in James O'Barr's own personal tragedy. And I tore through the graphic novel in a night. I've read it 3 times now, all 4 issues. And I'm actually going to do a show on the 29th of this month with K-Pop and Bleecker and Bigby McFly and JP and Ricky. And we're going to break down the Crow graphic novel, the Crow movie. I think Joe, if his schedule opens up, might come too. And then we're going to talk about the new one coming out and our expectations for that. So just was a huge fan of this movie as a kid, and the soundtrack were just awesome. I mean, it's like exemplifies the 90s. So really happy to add a Crow number 1. Maybe a Caliber someday, Joe. You had to tease me and bring that out. And then the last book, like I said, about a month ago, I was doing a live stream, and all of a sudden I get super chatted, and I forgot I even had that ability. And it was from David, and he said, just go buy a cool book. And so I looked, and my friend from California had a book I needed for my Fantastic Four run, and it is issue 39. And a bunch of us were talking. I showed this to a few guys from the community. I think Mike from Lunch Money Comics and Rohan from Absolute Game of Nerds. And we're like, this is the only cover, I think, where Daredevil looks so helpless, like a feeble old man. Like he's actually looks like he's using a cane. He just looks, it's just a crazy cover. But you can't go wrong with Doom in the background. And I always loved how they have the advertisement for the Mary Marvel Marching Society fan club built into the cover. I thought that was really cool. So David, this is what I did. I knew I wanted a copy of this book in a pretty good grade. Thank you, Doug. And I have a book, and in my video next week that will drop, I have another book that came out of that fund that I'm going to do a giveaway for the community. And love doing giveaways. It's so much fun to give back to the community and spread the love. And it's just, it's hard. I've got like a Rolodex. Yes, I have a Rolodex of like all community members' addresses that I'm accumulated so I can send them stuff back. So that's what I got. And I just wanted to show those books tonight. And guys, you blew my mind with your books. Thanks so much for bringing those amazing pieces of history, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Oh, you're most welcome. Josh, I kind of want to go around the horn now before we wrap things up. And I want to just have everyone tell where people can find you, what you guys got coming up. Because everyone in this chat, if you're not subbed to these channels, please go do so now. They're all wonderful, wonderful people. And I guarantee you that if you listen and watch any of their shows, you're going to learn something about comics. And that's half the battle or half the fun of comics is learning something constantly. So Josh, what's going on in your world of your channel?
I'm just always collecting and buying. Right now, there's a few local comic shows that are coming up in the next couple months. The NJ One Stop Comic Con, I believe it is. That's in March. King Kong, I'm excited. It'll be my second time.
That's in Jersey, right?
Yes. And other than that, man, I mean, I just, I tend to try to go out to more comic shops and local cons in the area if I can find them. Because since I'm here in Delaware, I'm kind of it's kind of almost like the same thing for Joe. I'm a little bit closer to some of the cons, but sometimes I have to travel pretty good distance. But yeah, I mean, those are the only things I got coming up. And then Back Deck Comic Fest, which I'm sure Joe mentioned, is another community event. I highly recommend everybody attend if you're in the Philadelphia, New Jersey area. And I do weekly haul videos on Tuesdays. And Instagram, I'm always active. Josh Comics 01 is my channel for both of them. So stop by, hang out, watch some content, enjoy. I'm just here to collect. I don't really focus on like community issues or top 10 videos. I usually just do like the top like cover prices that came out for the week. I usually just love to collect and share with you guys what I pick up.
That's awesome. And I also to the chat, I linked all the channels in the description. So if you forget, just come back to the video and you can see where to find these guys. Joe, what do you got coming up, buddy?
All right. So you can find me mostly on Instagram. That's kind of my main place. I do claim sales there, usually 2 or 3 times a week, and post there all the time. My shorts that I post on Instagram end up on YouTube and TikTok as well, if you prefer one of those avenues. I got a bunch of local cons coming up. One Day Comic Show in Cherry Hill, New Jersey at the end of March, the 23rd. 2 weeks after that, King Con in North Jersey. That is April 6th. And then a week after that, Lehigh Valley Comic Con in Allentown, Pennsylvania on the 13th. And then 2 weeks after that, the final one of the season for me, that is the one that I host at my house. Josh just mentioned it. I call it Back Deck Comic Fest. I've got it in my backyard. I open up the fence, let people come on in, and we have a really cool community event. Not just myself set up to sell, but also my buddies, Pope of Chilitown, Brixco Comics, Mint Hunter Comics. He often comes down for that. I don't know if he's coming to this next one. And Collecting Dude, my buddy who does CGC submissions for people. We're hanging out all day. I order everyone pizza, and we talk comics, sell comics, buy comics, all that stuff. It's a lot of fun. Cool community event, free to enter, of course. And even if you don't want to buy something, come hang out.
That's amazing. That's awesome. We need more backyard back deck cons. I'm jealous. I just have to wait till August to meet you at Terrificon. So we'll save up our energy for that one. David, what do you got coming up, my man?
So I'm working on a couple of videos at the moment. The first one is I do this series of page by page read-throughs of books before I submit them. So I recorded my Amazing Spider-Man 2. So that's the next one I'm working on at the moment. So I expect that soon. I've got an interview in the bag with the Marvel UK art director, Alan Murray. It is 2 hours worth of footage that I'm just crawling through at the moment. So that'll be coming soon as well once I can get around to editing. And then in terms of actual comic hunting, I'll be back in the US at the end of this month, and we'll be at WonderCon. So if you're going to WonderCon, say hi. Love to catch up.
That's awesome, and I look forward to meeting you at Terrificon as well. Brian, the Godfather, you got a lot probably going on. What's going on, dude?
Well, we do videos, during the week, usually Monday, Wednesday, unboxings, mail calls. I do reviews as well. Spider-Man, basically all Spider-Man titles. Amazing, the current runs, ASM, Miles Morales, Ultimate Spider-Man, which has been really, really good. I've really enjoyed that so far. And then every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, we do Breakfast with Brian. Come hang out. We do some giveaways and things on the show. So yeah, that's been, I don't know, almost 2 years doing that 10 a.m. slot on Saturdays. And then the Comic Book Community Awards. We just did the announcement of this year's awards, and they open up in June. June 15th will be the open nominations, all community driven. The community nominates all the channels, community votes on all of the finalists. So I'm a bean collector. I'm just, I'm counting the votes behind the scenes, but it's really all community driven. So the goal is just to continue to drive and make it bigger and hit all the little corners of the community and make sure that people are aware of it and just spotlight and highlight some of the great, channels within the community. So cbcawards.org is the website. That's where I do all of the information for the channel, and Instagram is CBC Awards. And then, my channel, Brian LCS, both the same on YouTube and on Instagram. So.
Yeah, sorry about that. Didn't mean to take you out of the large.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
It was yes, please go check out. You are very great about constantly updating people on Instagram about the CBCAs. So definitely anyone in the chat that wants to know more about that, go follow it. Go watch some of the past videos. See how amazing these guys have done and all the hard work they put in to the show and to the awards and selflessly put themselves out there. So thanks for that, Brian. That's we all owe you, man.
No, my pleasure.
And just for my channel, another couple of videos coming out this month, just regular pickups and different themes I want to highlight. And then, like I said, on March 29th, I'll be having a panel of guests coming on the channel. We're going to do a deep dive into everything The Crow and just really nerd out with it. I'm sure most of us will be in makeup and just having a blast being nerds. So thank you, everyone in the chat who stopped by tonight. Everyone here appreciates you guys stopping and saying hi and the love and support, especially myself. Thank you to my panel that agreed to come on tonight. I am so grateful that I found you guys and I found this community because it's just, as a dad of 2 kids living a hectic life, to be able to sit down and see these amazing books and talk to amazingly nice people really just blows my hair back. So thanks, guys, for coming on tonight. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Go out and see Dune 2 if you hadn't, in theaters now. It's great. And until next time, keep reading those comics.
Bye.